Okay, picture this. A massive, solid iron pillar. It's standing out in the open, getting hammered by the elements for centuries. Think about torrential monsoon rains just lashing against it, year after year after year. You'd expect it to be a crumbling, flaky pile of rust, right? Of course. But what if I told you there's a pillar that completely defies that logic? A pillar that, for all intents and purposes, never rusts. Let's dive into this incredible piece of ancient engineering.
So we're talking about the famous Iron Pillar of Delhi. This thing was forged way back around 400 CE during the golden age of India's Gupta Empire. That means this piece of metal has been standing there for over 1,600 years. Just think about that. It's watched empires rise and fall all around it. And that brings us to this central mystery. I mean, this pillar is huge. It's 23 feet tall, weighs more than 6 tons, and it's just standing there in an open courtyard, totally exposed to Delhi's brutal heat and those punishing, drenching rainy seasons. By all the laws of chemistry that we understand, it should have disintegrated into a pile of reddish-brown dust centuries ago. But it hasn't. It has almost no rust at all. How is that possible?
You know, for the longest time, this anomaly just baffled everyone. And the early theories were, well, they were all over the place, from mystical to straight-up extraterrestrial. Was it some sacred object, protected by the gods? Maybe it was forged from a special non-rusting meteorite. Or, and this was a popular one, was it some kind of leftover alien technology? Turns out, the truth, uncovered by modern science, is actually way more impressive than any of that.
So the answer isn't magic, it's chemistry. But it's a brilliant and honestly a breathtakingly advanced form of ancient chemistry. See, the pillar isn't immune to the weather, it actually uses the weather to build its own tiny microscopic shield.
This is the key insight. The pillar isn't just a passive chunk of metal, it's more like an active system. It's a self-healing, anti-corrosion barrier that's been engineered at the molecular level with a kind of precision we'd now associate with like nanotechnology.
Okay, so the scientific name for this shield is Misawite. It's a specific kind of iron compound. But here's the crucial difference. Unlike the flaky, destructive rust we're all used to, Misawite forms this incredibly thin, super dense, and totally even film all over the surface. It's so dense that it literally seals the iron underneath from the two things it needs to rust: oxygen and water.
And here's the part that just blows my mind. The scale of this whole thing is just astounding. You have this massive 6-ton pillar, and it's being protected by a shield that's just 1/20th of a millimeter thick. That's way, way thinner than a single sheet of paper. Incredible.
So how does this miracle film actually come to be? Well, it's this fascinating, almost elegant, 3-step process. First, the iron itself has a very unusual, very high phosphorus content. We'll get back to that. Second, it gets exposed to those alternating wet and dry seasons in Delhi, year after year. And third, those two things combined trigger a chemical reaction that creates that protective Misawite film. So the very weather that should be destroying it is actually what helps it survive.
So, the crucial point to get here is that not all rust is created equal. The rust you see on your bike or a car, that's flaky, it's porous, it actually traps moisture and lets oxygen get in to attack the metal underneath, which is why it crumbles. Misawite is the total opposite. It's dense, it's impenetrable, it forms a perfect, airtight, watertight seal shielding the metal below. It's rust that protects instead of destroys.
Okay, so all of this just begs a huge question, right? How on earth did blacksmiths 1,600 years ago manage to create such a unique and advanced material? What was their secret?
The entire secret, this whole amazing story, it all came down to a single, critical element that they intentionally left in the iron. So what was that secret ingredient?
The answer is phosphorus. And here's the wildest part. In modern steelmaking, phosphorus is seen as an impurity, something you want to get rid of. We actually use purifying agents like limestone specifically to remove it because it can make steel brittle. The ancient smiths of the Gupta Empire, they did the exact opposite.
I mean, this chart says it all. The iron in the Delhi pillar has about 1% phosphorus. Modern iron has less than 1/10 of that amount. This was no accident. It wasn't a contaminant. This was a deliberate and frankly masterful metallurgical choice.
And they pulled this off using what we'd consider pretty basic technology. I mean, just picture a dimly lit, ancient forge, sparks flying everywhere as smiths are pounding away at this glowing hot iron. In the background, there's a clay furnace burning bright orange. They smelted iron ore directly with charcoal, and
Here's the genius move. They deliberately didn't add limestone as a flux. That one simple but brilliant decision meant that the naturally occurring phosphorus in the ore was never removed, it just got baked right into the final iron product.
So what does a 1,600-year-old pillar have to teach us today? Well, it turns out a whole lot. It shows us that advanced materials science isn't just some modern invention. This is basically a case of ancient nanotechnology giving us lessons for the modern world.
In fact, we are literally reverse engineering this exact same principle right now. Modern engineers have developed something called Corten steel. You might have heard it called weathering steel. It's used in bridges and big outdoor sculptures. And guess what it does? It's designed to form a stable, rust-like protective layer when it's exposed to the weather, exactly like the Delhi pillar has been doing for a millennium and a half.
When you put it side by side like this, it is just stunning. What those ancient Indian blacksmiths learned through generations of hands-on skill and just knowing their materials, we are now rediscovering with advanced science and controlled alloying. They created the Misawite shield. We created weathering steel. It's the same brilliant idea, just separated by 16 centuries of time.
So the Iron Pillar of Delhi isn't some supernatural artifact or alien relic. It is a monument to sheer human ingenuity. It's proof that our ancestors had this profound, practical understanding of chemistry and materials, and they left behind a legacy of technology that we are still working to understand today. It really makes you wonder, what other ancient secrets are just sitting out there, hidden in plain sight, just waiting for us to decipher them?